Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone's having a good day. I wanted to get started and start painting a fall fence peeker for my interchangeable fence. Even though we haven't hit summer, I created this design a little bit ago, got it cut out, and I just wanted to get it started. There are a lot of pieces to this fence peeker, a lot. And my plan is to do different shades of orange, yellow. I'm going to throw in some blue, browns, greens, maybe even a little bit of red. But it's going to be very colorful. It's going to scream fall. And let's get started. So I'm going to start off with the scarecrow. I think what I'm going to do is, he's got bib overhaul, so we're going to make those blue. I thought because I'm going to have pumpkins in this particular design, I wanted to maybe make his shirt orange. I thought about yellow, but with him having straw, and these is going to be his hands that hang over the fence, yellow with yellow, no. So I'm going to use a color called Spice Pumpkin. And I'll start off painting his shirt. And I know from past experience, orange, it seems to take a lot of coats. So this could take some time. I'm going to see what I can do with my sponge. Try and do as much as I can with my sponge. And then as I get closer, break out my brush. Now, how I'm approaching this and how I approach most of my painting is I kind of like to look at what's further back. So this shirt is underneath the bibs and going to be underneath his head and neck. And I know I'm going to make his head lighter. The cloth is going to be lighter. So I'm going to start off by painting the shirt. Because when I go to shade it, I'm going to try my best not to get it where his head would be. But if I happen to I can't talk today, mess up, at least I can cover it up. So that's my method behind my madness. Like I said, this is going to have a lot of different shades of yellow and orange. I'm actually going to paint the pumpkins rather, a different shade of orange. It'll probably be a more brighter orange. And I almost have another fence insert done. And if you like bees, it'll be a cute fence peeker. This isn't covering too bad. I might be able to get away with one coat. We'll see. That would be nice. Now, I've done lots of scarecrows, and I've never done an orange shirt. I've done green shirts. I think I actually did a yellow, even a red. But I thought I'd try orange this time around. Good morning. Because like I said, I want a lot of orange and, you know, the fall colors. Now, his bibs are going to have, these circles are for buttons. And the reason why I didn't make the buttons glue on separately, you got to remember, the speaker is going to be behind the fence. So if part of it, you know, right here is where you would glue the hands on. This is going to kind of be somewhat behind the fence. So if I was to, have made buttons that you glue on, it wouldn't work out. Because there's only one spacer for the hands. But I think moving forward, that's just something I've thought about today. I think I might start including 2 spacers, especially with the kits. That way it just gives you a little bit more space. It's not something you have to use, you know, whether you use 1 or 2 spacers. This is going to fit on the fence. If you use 2 spacers, it would just be a looser fit, but it wouldn't jeopardize the end result. And with the new insert that I'm working on, you'll probably have to have 2 spacers. Because the new fence insert will be holding something in its hands. So it's definitely going to require 2 spacers, so it all works out. I don't know if orange will be a good choice for the shirt, but it's what I went with. And hopefully it ends up looking okay. So today's the last day of the draft. A lot of hoopla. And the person they've been talking so much about for the last, I don't know how long, still hasn't been drafted. I don't think he's going to be. Because I think wherever he gets drafted at, there's going to be so much hoopla, and I don't think those teams want that. So we will see. Now this is going to have a banner, and it's going to feature 4 different items that pertain to fall. And they're pretty cute. The Cavs are on tonight. And I hope they can pull it off. They're leading the series 2-0. Boston did not look good last night. But you always seem to play better when you're at home. But I didn't look good. So we will see. Because my prediction was Cleveland and Boston in the end. I really believe Cleveland is going to do it this year. And I'm trying to think the last time they've won a title. I know I used to watch back in the day when Michael Jordan was with the Bulls. And just like Tiger Woods is to golf, Michael Jordan is to basketball. I probably could have used a sponge on this part, but with all the curves, I just thought it would be easier for me to paint. I'm an old school painter. I gravitate to a brush before I do the sponges. And if you happen to get paint in the score marks, just take this little tool, and I got mine at Dollar Tree. Just take them out. It is gloomy and doomy today. It rained all night last night. And there's no sun today, and I think it's going to rain off and on all day. But we are still in April, and the saying is, April showers bring May flowers. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm definitely going to dry brush shading. I don't know if I'm going to dry brush highlighting. This is a pretty color of orange. And you'll have to stay tuned because I'm going to be working on a unique design for fall. It'll be, I guess you could say it will be a shelf sitter. But it's going to be very rustic and primitive. And you'll be able to use tea lights with it. I have lots of great ideas, but my time is limited for designing. I think there's a little fuzzy, but I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah, I can't get a good coat on these sleeves. Hopefully this orange will look good with the blue. Now, something you could do if you didn't want to leave this shirt plain, you could stencil some type of pattern on it. You could take a liner brush and throw some lines on it to simulate checks. Those are all things you could do. If that was something you were going to do, is put some type of stenciling. I like to put my pattern on first and then go back and shade and highlight over top. All right, and my water is not good. So the color I'm going to use for highlighting is tangerine. And I know it takes a couple coats because it does fade. But I'm just going to highlight the outside of the sleeves. Take a smaller angle brush and try and go around those curves. We'll see. I'm kind of just walking the float over to widen that highlighting. Especially up on the shoulder. Another color you can use for highlighting orange, and I've done it numerous times, and it looks good, is a shade of yellow. You just gotta see what, orange you're using and pick a good yellow to go with it. We'll let that dry, and like I said, it's gonna need another coat. And hopefully I can get pretty good highlight on the sleeve with all these curves. I like to use a angle brush for floating, especially if I'm working on an area that has lots of curves. I just find it easier to maneuver. And see, and that's like about faded, so it's definitely gonna need another coat. Part of me kind of wants to use a marigold. I don't know. We'll see. I'll put another coat on and we'll see. This is the recommended color by DecoArt for highlighting. It's not my favorite choice. It really is not. We'll see how that does, that last. And there's nothing wrong with, when it comes to highlighting and shading, mixing two colors together. Or do separate colors. Going with a Like say for highlighting, going with darker and then going over top of that with something lighter. It definitely adds more interest. I do it all the time. Yeah, you can't even really see this. It's like, I think I'm gonna try marigold or maybe even some golden straw. I don't know yet. Now this one, I didn't blend my paint good enough to suit me, but this one might end up being okay. But on those sleeves, I mean, on the shoulders, no. Hello. I know a lot of people like to highlight with white. I'm not one of those type of people. I don't like that. All right. I'm going to be here to Christmas if I keep up with this. So I think what I'm going to try and do first off is try and mix some marigold with some of this orange. I'll blend it on my paper palette, but that's just not cutting it for me. And honestly, this marigold is just a titch darker. Than this orange. But it seems to be standing out a little bit more. This tangerine is the recommended color for a lot of highlighting for different shades of orange. Alright, I'm tired of messing around with it. Alright. I'm going to shade with a color called Persimmon. I'll start off going around these curves. And this is a mild shading color as well. Something I might do is go back over it with a color called Oxblood, which has a little bit of red in it. But I've shaded my pumpkins with this persimmon and then went back over it with Oxblood. And it looks pretty good. I mean, you can hardly see this. But I always put on my shading with a very light touch. I like to build my shading up. And then I come back, and if I need to, I'll go over it again. And I'm just shading at the top of the sleeve part of the hands because I'm going to be gluing a rope piece, a rope looking piece. Probably another color you could use is burnt sienna. But I'm starting to see the shading. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. It's pretty mild, but I can see it. You know what? Part of me just wants to dry brush. But I think I'm going to do that. Because I want that shading down a little bit further. Honestly, this persimmon would have been a nice color for this shirt. Alright, go along the bibs, and I think I'm going to call this good. And I'll wait till that dries and go across the other way. Hi, honey. I hope you're having a good day. You won't be mowing today. I think I might be using this color for the scarecrow's nose. I actually thought about using burnt orange, but, and I might dry brush a little bit of tangerine in the middle of that shirt, because I kind of got that shading down a little bit lower than what I wanted, but we'll see once I go across here. Because I'm going to have to let that dry pretty good. But just all these different variations of orange and then adding some yellow is just screaming fall. And I like that. All right. I think that's good for now. Whoops. All right. Let's get his bibs painted, and hopefully I have enough Williamsburg blue. And it doesn't take a whole lot to cover. And I actually think I'm going too much paint on my brush. I'll wait though. I'm gonna paint his hat band, I think, blue. I kind of want to be mindful of this stitching. And you could make these bibs whatever color. Brown might look nice, even a green. Put way too much paint out. Yeah, I think the draft starts today around noon, and there's 3 rounds. And it was not too warm there yesterday. And rainy. People with young kids, I'm not understanding that, but so our bacon chicken ranch wraps were really, really good. Very flavorful. I would make them again. Before I decide to float highlighting, because I'm going to use a color called Winter Blue, which is very, very light, I will have to be emptying out this water because it's not good. But I'm definitely going to brush a little bit of the tangerine highlighting in the center of that shirt. Just to brighten that up a little bit. Just want to make sure my brush is really good and dry and that surface is good and dry from all that floating. And I think I'm going to use a bigger brush. Well, let's try that now. Paint's almost dry. Kind of not getting the result that I wanted, but might have to go back and float a little shading back underneath. We'll see. You can spend a lot of time on the detailed work, and I do. Just because I think it adds more. Part of me wants to take a little bit of tangerine and tidy up those little spots, and I think I'm one too. I'm not liking the old lines. So by doing this, it's kind of giving it a gradient. I don't like it. I'm just trying to brighten up the outer part of that sleeve. All right. Kind of looks very like a sunburst to me. I like it. So, with that being said, I'm going to empty my water. And when I come back, we'll do some highlighting and shading on the bibs. Hopefully, stick around. So the highlighting color for this Williamsburg blue is a color called Winter Blue. And it's pretty light. So I think I'm gonna try and just dry brush highlighting. Because I want it to be pretty minimal. And I am gonna do a little floating. Hopefully I can get a pretty minimal float. We will see. Just to sharpen up these outside edges. And I have hardly any paint on my brush. And I'm blending it very, very well onto my paper palette. I mean, this brush is, it holds the paint. It really, really does. I mean, I don't know if you can see in the camera, I hardly have any paint on. And I'm barely touching the surface, barely. Really good brushes. and not that expensive. The bristles, I mean, it's thick, so I like it. All right, the shading color they actually recommended was Payne's Gray, and that's what I used on my uniform blue. And uniform blue is definitely darker than this Williamsburg blue. So I'm actually gonna try a color called Deep Midnight Blue. I don't want my shading that dark. So I'm going to try something different. And if I need to go back over it with the Payne's Gray, I will. But I just kind of feel that that is too dark of a blue. And I'll definitely go over this again. Because I want it a little bit darker, but not a whole lot more. And I'm really blending my paint. And I might have to go over the bottom of that bib strap just a little bit more to brighten it up. Just so I'm offsetting that shading. And I think, just for giggles, I'm gonna go and shade like around this button, where this button's gonna be. Just halfway up, like the top half. Just to create a little bit of darkness, a shadow. And I think that is good enough. All right. I'm going to paint his face antique white. And I kind of want to be careful because I've got score lines everywhere, engraving lines for his mouth. So I want a pretty light touch. So I'm gonna barely touch my sponge over those areas. I'm just lightly touching. And of course I'll have to go over it again and again. But I'm really taking off the paint. So I'm loading up my sponge, but I'm also just patting a lot of the paint off. And then when I go to my surface, I'm just barely touching. My bird is just talking up a storm. I don't know if you guys can hear her. She loves bananas, and she's down there saying, "Get your banana," because that's what my husband says to her all the time. Get your banana. And if I didn't say, I'm using antique white. I'll just use my brush to go around all these other areas, I think. 'Cause I think I'm flirting with disaster. Now they do have a color called burlap, which you could use. And I'm gonna have to go over a couple times where I got blue on this area. But it's not too bad. This color is definitely blotchy. Even the orange kind of shows through. to sand because I got a little haphazard there. We'll have to see. And we'll be brushing some highlighting, and I think I'm going to give him some cheeks. This kind of actually looks like a darker color than what I've used in the past. I don't know. Ooh. I always thought it was lighter. Just seems pretty dark. Definitely need to dry brush something on it. It's really getting windy out. Yeah, it definitely looks a lot darker than the other one I did. And sometimes for me, and I don't know how other people feel, but when you're working on a face, it never seems to come together until you start putting all the elements on, like the mouth, the eyes, in this case the nose, you know, maybe coloring the cheeks. That's just me. I don't know. It just seems like it's not complete until you do all that. It just doesn't look right. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe once I put some highlight on here, it'll look, you know, a lot better. I don't know. It just seems, it doesn't seem like the color I've used before. Just does not. So it's making me kind of wonder, did I mix something? Can't remember. I don't know. It just doesn't look right to me. Okay, the highlighting color is buttermilk. And I want that to be pretty minimal. Starting out. So I'm kind of just lightening all this up. I don't know, I'm just not feeling the painting today. Just not. I don't know what it is. Do you ever have days like that? I'm not gonna clean that out yet. But I'm not feeling it today. Gonna go around the outside edge. And then I'll come back and go around all those curvy parts. I don't know. I am just not feeling it. Part of me kind of feels like it needs to be this buttermilk color. I will be right back. All right. I'm going to take some Terra Coral and dry brush the cheeks. I want them pretty minimal. Hopefully you're able to see what I'm doing. I gotta have my piece up towards me. And I got a little bit lower than what I wanted, but yeah, I'm not feeling this. I don't know what it is, but I'm not feeling it at all. That is a no-go. Alright, I'm gonna keep going with it though. Because maybe once I get all the other elements on, I'll like it. But right now, I'm not liking this. I'm not liking it at all. Not even close. So, I'm going to shade around the face. And I'm going to use a color called Cocoa. And I'm touching those so lightly. And I might go back and float. I'm really scrubbing that paint out of my brush. And I know I want some shadow. I might do some floating because this ain't cutting it. There's just like rough debris on there. It's weird. Better. Like I said, we're gonna have a rope piece that glues over that. I like dry brushing for highlighting and shading. I do. I really do. Um, but sometimes you just need a more distinct highlighting and shading. And I really think you get that with floating. Like I've said, I feel that dry brushing is just a delicate way of adding color. And then I feel by floating, you get more that gradient of color where you won't get that from dry brushing. I'm going to go down each side of these, but I'll do one side first and then go back and do the other. Because otherwise I'll be pulling off the paint. I kind of feel that I got myself too dark of a line. Well, maybe not. Maybe that'll be okay. And I think once I put the nose on and the eyes, it'll probably come together and look better. You don't know. But right now, I'm not liking this. I'm not liking it at all. I don't know if it's the color choice I chose for the shirts. I just don't know. I'm not liking it. I'm just not feeling it. I am not feeling this at all. And that's too bad. Because I like my other scarecrow I did. But I'm not liking this. Alright. Let me do some burnt orange on his nose. See if that does anything for me. I didn't get that mixed up very good. sometimes that's what it takes, is getting all the elements completed before you start liking something. I hope that's the case today. And while we're at it, let's just go ahead and paint these eyes. Maybe all this wood showing is just throwing me off. That orange needs another coat, that's for sure. I still feel as though I need to lighten up his face, but we'll see. But the rope I'm going to make a little bit lighter anyhow. I'm not sure what color right offhand, but I know I want that to be a little bit lighter. And I think I need to lighten up around his mouth a little bit. That shading is a little bit too high up to suit me. But I think that's something I'll do off camera. I'll just go back and add a little bit more antique white. Give his nose another coat. Need to touch up that eye in that one area. Kind of went out my area there. Let's see if I can fix it. While I'm at it, I'll just go above his mouth as well. I think I just carried that shading up too far. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna mellow that out. All right. Let's do a little highlighting and shading on the nose. I think that's gonna wrap up this session because I'm over 2 hours, and that's longer than I want to be. So I'm just using some tangerine to go down the left side of the right side of the nose. And then I'm gonna use, I think I'll use burnt sienna. Yeah, he still looks darker than my other one. I know I use something different, but I just don't know what. Unless it's the lighting, because when I hold him up to my porch grater, he looks the same. Very bizarre. And maybe once I do his hair, because I'm going to use golden straw. That's a pretty light yellow. Maybe that will lighten it up. I don't know. So I'm using the burnt sienna, and I'm gonna go over that again because I want a little bit darker. And I might go back and throw on some ox blood because it's more of a little, it's got some red in it. I know I want this shading to be a lot wider than what it is. Still need that corner just a little bit darker, a little bit wider. done. When using a stylus, you always want to clean off your surface of whatever that's got paint on it, but I'm not going to use that anyhow. You want fresh paint and clean off your surface. And good enough. Like I said, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know. He just, he looks different. And I know that I'm using the exact same colors that I did on my porch grater. So I'm not understanding. So what I'll show you is it might be the shirt, it's throwing me off. So here's my porch grater. And here's him. He looks darker. So something's telling me I used a different color, but I don't know what I used. I could have swore it was the antique white. It could have been the desert sand. I mean, these two are very close to one another. I don't know. Just something is not right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. If I don't screw myself up. I probably should have done it ahead of time. And I'm really pushing down in because I want all this paint out. I'm gonna just try and go on each side of his. See if that does anything. It lightens it up, but not enough to make a difference for me. I need to go over that one spot. So disappointing. But it is what it is. So, with that being said, I am going to call it quits for this session. I may be back on later on today. I'm not for sure. Right now, I'm not feeling this painting today. I'm not feeling it. Maybe I should have started with another element. I'm not feeling this. I think it has everything to do with his face, the color of that. I'm just not feeling it. But maybe things will change once I paint the hair. It'll bring some brightness around his face. But right now, I'm not liking this. So if you folks want to comment down below, have at it. But I'm not feeling it. So, with that being said, until next time, take care. Bye-bye.